So the Starfleet ships may get all of the spotlight, but you got to admit some of the adversary ships from the various series and movies, um, well, some of them are pretty freaking awesome. Um, going back to the original series, the original Romulan Bird of Prey, which we took a look at a few days ago, the Klingon D7 class, I've always been a big fan of. The Katinga, as it appeared in Star Trek: The Motion Picture and in Star Trek VI, both quite prominently, being a modified version of that, kind of an upgraded version of that. But the Klingon ship that everybody thinks of, that everybody remembers, is the Bird of Prey, because it has the cloak, it has the adjustable wings, and it just looks cool and aggressive. And it was featured in the one that in the movie that people tend to remember. If they're not thinking Star Trek II, they're probably thinking Star Trek IV, the one with the whales. But yeah, the Klingon Bird of Prey is it's a fun, neat, aggressive but elegant looking ship. If, a little dirty. And I did my Bird of Prey, my 350th scale, way the hell back. That would have been that was before I did my refit Enterprise. In fact, I did it kind of as a prototype for that. It was my first ever lighting project that I can recall. And I'm looking at it right now. It's sitting on the shelf up there, and I should grab it. But I'm not going to because it has a broken wing. But the Klingon Bird of Prey is just one of my favorite ships, one of my favorite designs. And building that model was great. And modifying it for lighting was a lot of fun. But that's not the only Bird of Prey model that we've ever seen. In 1980, I want to say 89, late 80s, maybe 1990, AMT released a 3-pack of Adversary ships in kind of a box scale. The Romulan Warbird, which we'll be taking a look at tomorrow, as well as both of these. The Klingon Bird of Prey and the Ferengi Marauder. The Marauder, which was introduced in the TNG episode "The Last Outpost," along with the Ferengi species. That ship was not featured very heavily in the show. I think it appeared in like 4 or 5 episodes, almost all of which in the first 2 seasons, and then kind of just ignored over the years. Even on Deep Space Nine, I don't think you ever saw a Ferengi ship of this class in that series, even though the Ferengi were featured really prominently, one of whom being a main cast member on that show. So yeah, it was only featured ever in TNG and not very prominently. So surprising that this would have gotten a model kit at all. So these are kind of in a box scale. They're not really in scale, or they're not even close to in scale with each other. The Bird of Prey, there's some debate as to the size. In fact, there's some debate as to whether or not there's even multiple versions of the ship with the same exterior layout in multiple sizes. It's implied in Star Trek 3 and 4 that the ship's about maybe 75, 100 meters long. That's kind of the size class that I've gone with. But there's versions that seem to be much, much longer, like 200, 300, 400 meters long. Whereas this model is 3 1/4 inches. So if you assume that it's 100 meters long, 3 1/4 inches is about 1800 scale, or 1300 scale, I believe. So it would look pretty okay with a 1400 scale Starship Enterprise. The Ferengi ship, there is no, to my knowledge, canonical measurement of this ship, at least not on the Star Trek wiki or on Wikipedia itself. I had to go to Memory Beta, the non-canon Star Trek wiki, to find a measurement of this thing, and it says that they're 630 meters long, which is almost as long as the Enterprise D. That's a pretty big ship! And this thing measures 3 3/4 inches. That's a little off scale. Yeah, I worked it out. It's about 1/6600th scale. So that's a little bit different. But enough of that. Let's crack it open and take a look. So we've actually got a slightly different style of box. Instead of being the lid type, this one actually opens from the end because it's one of the smaller kits. I guess you could almost say this is from the Cadet series, though technically not. It's not advertised as such, but anyway. Box front, same style as we always get. Box back, a little bit of biographical information. There's no scale indicated on the set, but I did a little bit of math, and at 3 1/4 inches long, the bird of prey is at around 1340th scale, I think, and the Ferengi ship at 3 3/4 inches long is about 1/6600th. So just a tiny little bit off from each other. I got a little bit of info about the ships. First up, we're going to look at the Klingon ship. Not overly complicated. You got a 2-part hull. You've got the hinges for the wings. You've got the disruptors. Some additional wing parts, and the actual wings themselves. Overall, 10 pieces. Yeah. Detailing on the wings looks pretty nice. I got to admit that looks pretty decent. Overall hull detail looks fine. At such a small scale, overall, yeah, as the box said, it's going to be about 3 1/4 inches long. So it looks fine. There's some. These are where the hinges are for the wings. They're kind of form grills for radiators and whatnot, I believe, within the canon of the show. And they are molded ridged, so that's nice. And the Ferengi ship, even simpler. 3 major components: upper hull, lower hull, and I believe this is supposed to be a pop-up weapon of some kind that was very infrequently featured in the show. But yeah, underside, the detail is real nice. I believe this is supposed to be kind of a detachable shuttle that was never seen in the show. But yeah, for the incredibly fine scale, it looks great. Looks like it'll fit together nicely. And it additionally includes a couple of clear parts. So 2 hull plus the pop-up part and 4 clear parts, so there's a total of 7 pieces in this kit. Instructions. That's all you get. Yeah, that's really simple. You got your basic assembly, marking guide, basic assembly, marking guide, and then just a bunch of cross cells. Hey, look at that. There's lit windows on here. Windows for the Ferengi ship are printed in white. And it'll be interesting. They actually will give the ship a sense of scale, since it's so incredibly tiny, 6600th scale. I'm not sure what the actual measurement of the ship is off the top of my head. I think it was in canon has never been stated, but it's implied to be around 600 meters long. Yeah, I mean, otherwise the markings look real nice. You got some Klingon script for the bird of prey, and just a bunch of random markings all over for the Ferengi ship. So that is a very simple pair of models. So yeah, those are some pretty basic models. Not sure where you would ever display the Ferengi ship. I don't think I've ever built anything that was quite that small scale. I think the smallest scale model I have in my collection is my Battlestar Galactica, which I think is 41/05th scale. Yeah, I'd have to double check, but I think even the various Macross battleship models that I've gotten in the last couple of months are a vastly larger scale even than that. I think those were in the 4,000 scale as well. So yeah, this Ferengi ship, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. It should have probably been a good 6-8 inches long. At least been comparable in scale with the Romulan ship, which we're going to take a look at tomorrow. So do stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.